Mr. Speaker, this week's stunning betrayal by President Trump, choosing Russian President Vladimir Putin over our own intelligence agencies, begs questions that we should never have to ask about an American president. What does Putin have on President Trump? Is he literally being blackmailed? Do we have a Manchurian candidate as our president? It's difficult to imagine any other explanation for Trump's constant bowing and scraping at the feet of the Russian dictator, or of his refusal to hold Putin accountable for his election interference, even after numerous indictments, including 12 Russian military officials, and even after the arrest of a Russian national who was caught trying to use the NRA as a tool to change U.S. policy toward Russia. And it's hard to find any other explanation for Trump's constantly calling Special Counsel Mueller's investigation a witch hunt, even after so many indictments and multiple guilty pleas. Now, on Monday, our security interests of this country demanded that our president speak out and seek accountability from the foreign adversary who attacked it. But instead, the American people witnessed a Manchurian Moment, exposing that President Trump is so deeply compromised on Russia that he's willing to alienate our European allies, to blame our country for the strains in the relationship with Russia, and to betray our intelligence and law enforcement communities by casting doubt on their conclusions and accepting Putin's self-serving denials. And so the world wonders, what does Putin have over Trump? Now, it could be some compromising or embarrassing financial information, which would explain Trump's refusal to release his tax returns. Now, let's remember, candidate Donald Trump promised, if elected, he promised unequivocally that he would publicly release his tax returns just like every other modern president. We're still waiting, but Trump's position has evolved to an outright refusal, making him the only president in modern history to refuse to share this information with the American people. Now, it could also be his nefarious dealings with Russia that Trump wants to keep secret. Now, we know Trump and his family and his campaign had a web of contacts with Russia going back several years. The degree of collusion in the 2016 election is still unknown, but we know that at the very least they explored receiving illegal foreign election assistance, and we know that assistance was actually provided by Russia. Or it could be more straightforward blackmail. We know about the reports that Russia had compromising information on Trump that includes not just financial entanglements, but a sex tape. Now, I'm confident that whatever President Trump is hiding, Special Counsel Mueller's investigation will get to the bottom of it. And that's why I've joined my colleagues here on the floor to demand that the Mueller investigation be protected from political interference and that we let the Special Counsel's office do its job. But we should also think about how we got into this surreal situation in the first place. How did a presidential candidate with such potentially disqualifying baggage slide through the process without a way for voters to know about it? There's a clear public interest in ensuring that presidential candidates are not deeply compromised or vulnerable to blackmail, and that's why today I introduced the Protecting Access to Classified Information in Elections Act. It's a new bill designed to protect the national security of our country by allowing presidential candidates to voluntarily undergo a national security clearance investigation well before the election. Candidates who are granted a security clearance would have the option of publicly disclosing that fact on a website maintained by the Director of National Intelligence. Current law doesn't work that way. Presidential candidates start getting classified briefings before they take office, but it's based on an informal grant of access by the sitting president. And voters may assume that candidates have security clearances, but they don't actually have to get one, and not all of them do. By providing an early security clearance process, candidates can provide a real assurance to the American people that there's nothing in their background, such as financial or personal vulnerabilities, that should prevent them from receiving our nation's top secret information. And if a candidate chooses not to seek that security clearance, voters can consider that fact too when they cast their vote. An early security clearance would also virtually rule out the possibility that a presidential candidate is vulnerable to foreign coercion, compromise, or manipulation, because among the things scrutinized by background investigators our tax returns and financial dealings. Investigators would learn if an applicant has been accused of sexual misconduct. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask my colleagues to support this bill, and I yield the balance of my time.